three separate roofs, but I'm at the central kitchen, which is over by C&M, just below there between C&M and the freeway. So part of my job is to oversee the purchasing of the produce as well. So we kind of utilize the local produce in two different ways. The entire district when it's possible, and the Valley Produce Program. Kind of what the Valley Produce Program is a grant that came out a few years ago, I see probably 5 years ago, and the intent was to purchase as much local produce as we could and utilize it in the schools. It started out as a snack program, was originally how it was written, and through lessons learned, we realized it wasn't as good of an idea because we had some police issues because Cherry Tomatoes went out to school bus because the plan was they were giving the item as kids went out of school. So we had tomatoes going out the bus, and police called, and needless to say that didn't happen anymore. Now we included it into the menu. And so when we talk about our public schools, we have 138 schools roughly, we're continually building more. We have at least 2 more that are in the process of being built. Right now, roughly 90,000 students. We serve about 38 to 40,000 meals a day is what we plan. So, it's quite an undertaking of, when you break it down into the restaurant aspect of it. Kind of go back a little bit and say this. People that are farmers in here, I, since started working with this program, gained a whole lot of respect for what you do and how you do it. I've been in commercial food service for 27 years now, and I was make phone call and showed up at the door, and great. But through some of the people that we've met and people we've worked with, Apple Council we've worked with in the past, we've had tours of facilities and farms, and we were able to tour all of northern New Mexico. We stopped at like 15 different places and farms. The math behind, plucking the buds off the apple tree to get the right size, I would have never known that. But through this program, we have been able to. So just kind of as an example, when we're talking 40,000, 38,000 servings, if we were to do watermelon at half a cup serving, and everything we do is based on the USDA menus. So if we did half a cup, 38,000, we would need over 12,500 pounds of watermelon for one meal. And, we typically, we have a 3-week cycle right now. So every 3 weeks, when it's in season, of course, we're not going to do watermelon right now. It's not practical. So every 3 weeks when it's in season, we would serve that watermelon. And, another way of breaking it down is those 700-pound bins that you see in the grocery stores, we would need about 18 of those to buy for the meal. When we talk about these different programs, we have the bid systems broken down into 2 groups. A Lot 1, which we consider our general bid, which goes out to all of the large vendors, Cisco, Labatt's. Believe it or not, Blake's Lauderberger is one of our biggest providers. They wanted a way to expand their business a little bit, so they got into the produce distribution. We're to the point now that there really are no local produce houses in town. With Sun Valley closing quite a few years ago, your options are kind of limited for most operations. So get back to the Valley program. Basically, one of the main reasons that particular area was chosen, it's basically the boundaries of Alameda Elementary, which is Alameda Boulevard, to Doranis, which is almost the freeway, to the river, to Mission Elementary, which is on right behind Renaissance, where Edith, between the Water Authority, is kind of out there. So that's kind of the boundaries. And the reason that area was chosen was the senator that helped write that bill, that was her home district. That was one of the reasons. The other reason was we do a lot of business with, and it kills me every time, I don't know why I can't say this, Agricultura is one of our big providers, and Rio Grande Community Farms is one of our other providers. And so we wanted the visualization of seeing, these kids driving up and down Montano, associating that field, that farm, but hey, that's the lettuce I ate for lunch. Well, those are the tomatoes I ate for lunch. So that was one of the other reasons why I chose that area. May I go too fast, or questions, or if you have a question, please let me know. I know there's a little bit of time set up here in a little bit to ask, but is there any questions though? Yes, ma'am.
I think you started talking about the bid system and how there's two parts to it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't think we ever got to the second part.
I'm sorry?
You talked about the first part, which was Cisco and...
Lot 1 is the everyone. The Lot 2 is our local growers. The Lot 1 everyone can bid on it. If you're a local farmer and you want to bid on Lot 1, you think you have the capability of providing the quantities and the pricing, you're more than welcome to. But Lot 2 can only be local. We had some incidents a couple years ago where we had a farmer that decided, just because he was local, and he bought it out of Colorado, that meant it local because he sold it. It wasn't the case, we changed that, and there was some more wording put into it on how it needed to be and where it came from. Truly state of New Mexico. Did that answer your question as far as that?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question about your every 3 week cycle? Does that have anything to do with the bidding, or is it bid for the entire year?
Produce gets bid every month. We're going to go over the bidding process and stuff in a little bit, but we just kind of wanted to give some oversight of what we do. But yes, essentially it's a 3-week cycle menu for everything. There are some variances, of course, for seasonal items. Of course, we're not going to have peaches in January. So that's all taken into effect and counts with what we do. But bid typically is what we program. These are some of the areas we purchased items from. We've been able to purchase lettuce, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, peppers, Espanola, same thing up at Apale, Velarde. We get apples, a lot of apples from up there. We've been able to do melons. We've been able to work with Nappy in the past, where we get potatoes from Farmington. These are pretty much the fresh produce. We typically use a company out of Dairy, New Mexico, that they've won the bidding prize for the red chili. So all of our red chili that we use in the school system comes from southern New Mexico. And it's processed, just like a regular frozen container of bueno, but it's New Mexico grown. And, these are some of the items that we've used in the past. Some of these items may look interesting. What are you going to do with jalapenos or heirloom tomatoes? We make salsas. When we kids at high schools, they can have the heirloom tomatoes on their burgers. That's just an extra item. So that's kind of how we utilize some of this produce. Just about everything on here we use pretty consistently. Apples, I want to say 2 years ago we had at least 8 different varieties of apples. So, the kids were exposed to, not just red apple, when they were seeing the green, and we had Brainbirds, we had Galas, and, Granny Smiths. So, then how we determine what we use. Again, everything that we do, and I might embarrass you, but we have one of our special dietitians just walked in. And she helps us set the menu, and everything that we do is based on USDA guidelines. So when it comes to an item that we use, everything has to match. And now it's going even a little bit further. further with the color wheel. Color wheel? Color? My plate color?
Yeah, there are colors, we have to serve a certain amount of.
Right, and so that's become a lot more interesting in planning these menus because those items have to match. You know, we can't substitute bell peppers for tomatoes. It has to be a red, orange vegetable. So, you know, that's going to get a little more exciting in the next couple of years, next year. But right now we exchange it into our items. So, like when we look at the menu, when we get an idea of what we want to sell or what we're going to send to the schools, we go through and we look at the menu. And if it's in season and it's local, we'll switch that out. You know, if it's a canned item or a canned vegetable, you know, we'll definitely switch that out if we can. The one thing that we've been able to do a lot recently has been the salad greens. You know, we have a couple of growers that we can get the salad greens year-round. And typically, the last couple of years, we have been able to do it all year. You know, in January, we're still getting fresh greens. And so we send those to add into the schools or into the salads. And then again, the last one we exchange it for, you know, if we buy a commercial fruit and we have availability of, say, an apple, you know, we would serve it the local apple.
Can I ask you, is the local the preference?
It is, if they're the bid. So it gets back to this whole lot 1 and lot 2 thing. If a local grower bids on lot 1, which is the commercial aspect of it, and they're the lowest bid, as long as they can provide us apples, we'll use those apples. Years past, we've been up into January, February using local apples because they have the resources and they have the storing capability and they have the lowest price. Yes, sir.
You talk about the apples. Last year was a really good year for the fruit and apples.
Yes, sir.
And I can't tell you how many of them are rotted on the trees for lack of where to sell them.
And that's something we'll talk about later on, how to get them into the system and how to get the bid process.
You also have up there pest free. So you have a preference for naturally grown or
Typically, no. I'm going to say I don't know, but most people that grow in the community typically are organic. Is that fair to say?
I'll say majority would like to be extracted.
Would like to be expected, but it, again, as long as it's local from our aspect. So, that kind of leaves us, you know, what do you guys expect from your produce? When you go to the store, what do you guys expect from what you buy? Is it anything different than this list? Probably not.
Traceability.
And that's something that's huge, and we know it's coming down. I was able to go a couple months ago to Mississippi. And we went to a Liberty State University. Because we did this training at the School Institute on the University of Mississippi. And that was one of the things that, invested now is going to be required very soon.
Organic food offered in storage. When you search it, try to find out where it comes from. A lot of it comes from Mexico, and I don't think there's the same guidelines or attention paid there. We can't tell, and so it's very much up in the air whether it's truly grown naturally or organically.
Right. One of the things that, we'll start at the top, safe. Of course, we're not going to jeopardize your kids. We wouldn't want our kids jeopardized. I have 2 kids that go to the public school system. I wouldn't want them to jeopardize. We're paying this. We're taking money, public money. We're going to want what we pay for. You go to the store, you're not going to go get the worst item and pay the best price, right? So we were the same way. That's free. There's nothing worse than getting the salad. What are you going to find in it? Half a worm? Full worm? Kids, we're probably a little more resilient in how we respond to finding something like that. 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid may not be as understanding as we are. Deliveries, we ask that it be sent to us in a specific time frame because we have to send it out. We typically get produce. All the local stuff that we get sent in comes to us on Thursday. It's shipped to the school on Friday for them to use. Because Fridays happen to be their delivery day. It doesn't make any sense for us to bring it in on Monday and sit till Friday, or it doesn't make much sense for us to run out separate trucks. So, the delivery part. And traceability, we've seen it a lot in the last few years. We had the peppers from Mexico a few years ago, the scare. It was cantaloupe from Colorado a couple years ago. So when we get back to this, you guys purchase something at home, you hear cantaloupe scare on your, on the news. What's your response? Where'd that come from? I went to Walmart and I bought this. I went to Albertsons and I bought this. You want to know where that melon came from. And if you go to that store, you're going to want them to tell you, oh, this came from California. We should be okay. You're okay if this melon. We have to know that as well, because we have 38,000, 90,000 kids that we have to answer to. We get a phone call saying, where did that come from? We have to be able to say, this melon came from Wagner's Farm in Corrales. And we would like more because we could say, it came from this grower. This grower may have 6 fields. If it's a pretty big operation, that's not unlikely. They may be a co-op that they pull their resources together. We're going to want to know where that came from. So any questions along that or what we expect? Yes, ma'am.
This isn't really related to that, but I was going to try to ask it a while back. So now that you're having like salads and everything fresh for the kids, are you, from your perspective, able to kind of say, are kids eating that more, or is a lot getting thrown out?
It's the unfortunate part. We can put it out. We can't make them eat it. That's kind of what we run into.
What are you seeing?
Sorry?
What are you seeing? Are you seeing a lot thrown out, or are you seeing more eaten, or?
The more exposure they get to it, the better. When we first started the greens, I enjoy greens. A lot of people don't. The kids are the same way. That if they were used to seeing this salad with iceberg lettuce, to see these red, frilly things in their salad, what is this? So now, it's been 5 years. Those kids know when they get their salad, for the most part, at those 12 schools, they're going to have those greens in it. And they are. So it does come back down to the repetitiveness of it and the exposure that they get to it. We can't just say one time to go. We run into the same problem. What we do during the summer is we provide the meals for the city and the county lunch and the park program. We provide all of those meals. And we run into that all the time of, try something new because we want them to be able to experience something new. And it just goes out the door. We had a different grant a few years ago at a different school, and we were able to expose them to rare and unusual items. That's what this program was set up at. Then to try and expand wontons and fresh passion fruit and stuff like that. Most of them took it, some didn't. It was up there by the base, so some of it was cultural based. We would try to do. There's a large Vietnamese population up in that area, so we would try to find something that they like. Let me get to try. But anyway, again, it still gets back to what they try at home.
Right, but what I'm trying to understand is, are you able to track at all, like from year to year? Is it picking up? Is it
typically no? We can get an idea of what goes in the trash can, but it's hard. Well, we're going to cover that here in just a little bit. So hold on to that thought. Any other questions while we're kind of on that subject? Or?
I just have one thing to add. We do have a tasting program called the Plate Investigators that's in 8 of the schools this year, and we're trying to get it in more schools for next year. So that has made the kids much more open to trying things.
Kind of what she's talking about is probably 2-3 months in advance, we will roll out typically 4 or 5 items, and we roll these items out, and they try them at these schools, and those schools get to pick the top 2. And those items get incorporated into the menu. I think the next one is, the winner was a veggie burger and a pineapple orange couscous were the winners. So in May,
we're going to have a whole entire meal that's based on what the kids.
Right. And
just wondering what age started this tasting thing.
they're elementary.
And one
Great.
But also the local cafeteria managers do watch for what items don't get eaten, get trashed. And we try to do some problem solving with that. For instance, if you're feeding third graders a whole apple, they don't have front teeth. So we do apple slices. So we are doing problem solving. We are observing at the site level.
Right. Now,
Just before we go, I just want to introduce Janet Novak, who's a special needs dietitian with APS, and Jeannie Forrester, who's the wellness manager at APS. Just that they're chiming in on invitation, but they were here after this.
Thank you so much, Mary.
but yes, so we, this summer, can I get back to the summer? Something that the state has said was the same thing. With the summer, these kids can be 2. So that's something we're trying this summer is, because out of the name of efficiency, we're giving these whole oranges. But they're not eating them. What does it matter? And ultimately, we're sending them twice the amount than we have to, because it's in the name of, speed, efficiency. So we're going to try to cut it this year and see if it makes a difference. The state says it does. We don't know that. They may like the enjoyment of killing it. I don't know. But so anyway, again, traceability is something that is definitely going to be coming down probably a lot sooner than later. People ask, what's the biggest problem you guys run into? It's price. That's essentially what it is. We run off of public money. We may not have. I'll probably say this wrong, but we do not have a state-subsidized budget. Am I right? To do this, we create our own money. Right? That's the way I understand it. And food nutrition basically creates their own money. So if we don't make enough money, we can't afford to feed. That's kind of the reality of it.
I'm sorry, what is your revenue source? It's just
The sales from the food. We don't have.
Enterprise fund?
We don't have a set. Like I said, I may be speaking wrong, but the way I understand it is we do not have a state budget, right? We have a food nutrition budget that we have to generate that revenue.
And a big part of the income is from the snack bars and stuff in the mid and the high schools.
Right. That's why we do the summer. We contract for the summer. That's when we make our money. We try to make most of the money.
We do get the federal free and reduced lunch rate.
Right. But all of our expenses still comes out of that.
Yeah.
Milk is 40 cents a piece. Or 24 cents a piece. So you're talking, now the requirement is so many grains, milk, and now it's up to 3 fruit and vegetable servings per day.
They have to take at least a half a cup of fruit or vegetable at lunch.
Right. So, even if it's 2 different items, a milk is 25 cents, an apple, 18 cents. So you're already at, almost 40 cents? You haven't even touched the entree yet. We only get $2 and some cents. So, anyway, So it is price. So when we do these pricing, this is just some comparisons of local versus commercial. Right now, our bid price for cherry tomatoes, we can get it for 99 cents a pound. Who grows tomatoes in this area? You grow tomatoes? What's your price for your tomatoes?
A lot more than that.
$3 is what when we buy tomatoes, or when they were available to us in August, September, we were paying $3 a pound. Can we go back to that example of the watermelon at 12,000 pounds? When you're talking $2 a pound, we can't afford that. Zucchini, 40 cents we can buy commercial grow zucchini in here. Sir, what's about the market price for zucchini?
Well, zucchini's hard, where we are just to use pesticides.
Okay.
Okay, but even that, and it depends on if you want baseball size, baseball back size.
Sure.
If you want a real.
Sure.
About $2 to $3 a pound.
Exactly. We pay about $2 a pound. Spinach is another one. We can get spinach commercial for $1.37. We pay $5 a pound. When do we buy it? When we buy it commercially, though, through this Valley program, we're $5 is our bid price. We'll put it that way. It may be $2 a pound, but our bid price, that vendors that provide spinach to us, that's their price. The grains is another thing. We get grains for